Hi all, this is Sk8, and today I am going to be showing you the nerfs and buffs incoming in update 3.7. And I'm really trying to contain my excitement at the moment, so I can't actually explain this properly. But there are some epic buffs and nerfs incoming. First one though, BDR by here, the tier 5 French tank. As we know, the 75mm is completely broken on this tank, so it has been changed. First up, the hit points though. It's actually had a buff in that aspect. It's gone from 650 with the top turret up to 780. But those 75mm guns we know are broken. They've gone from a 3.64 second up to 8.15 second reload on the stock gun. The next 75mm also gone from 3.64 up to 6.62. So those 75mm guns have seen a huge nerf when it comes to DPM. As a result, the top gun is now the best gun to use, where prior to this update it wasn't. So the 90mm gun, which I'm using in this replay by here, is by far the best one to go for. But they've buffed that gun slightly. So the aim time on that has gone from 6 to 5.2 seconds. All in all, it's like playing a different tank, because, well, the top gun, I never used it. I just sat with the 75mm because it's just considerably better. Now it's not. You've got the great penetration on the 90mm, you've got the better aim time, and you have a much bigger hit point pool. So if you have flown through the French tanks, and you've pretty much just put everything straight up to the upgraded full spec tank when you first had it, you may not be aware that the 75mm guns are so broken. Play them now before update 3.7 and you will laugh your head off, because the DPM is over 3000 and it's ridiculous. After 3.7, the 90mm gun is going to be the most viable option, which is how it should be. It's the top gun. Right, moving on. I was going to keep the E25 until last in the video, but I can't do it. They've buffed my baby. Yep. I love the E25. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, this is not new knowledge. It's everywhere. It's my logo for the channel. I love my E25. Right. So, you'll notice I am firing APCR. I am not being a filthy gold noob. They have replaced the AP with the APCR. Yep. It's just ridiculous. So, right, E25's problem is it lacks in pen. It has 160 pen. I'm sorry. They broke it in a good way. Okay, information. The standard AP on the E25 has 160 pen, and that was always the nerfed issue, or the major issue with this tank. Nope, no more. They've got rid of the AP pen on this, or they've got rid of the AP ammo, replaced the APCR with 194 as the standard ammo, and they've given it heat. I mean, heat! 250mm of penetration with the premium ammo on this, and it now has 194 with the stock ammo. Oh, I love my... Oh yeah, by the way, they've increased the hit points from 970 to 1000. I am a very happy Sk8 right now. I mean, this IS-3, if you look, he's angled up the hill, so I'm shooting up at his front plates. And I can still pen him in most places, even though he is aimed backwards. Now, if he was on the flat, I would go through the front of him, absolutely no problem at all. Now, the E25 is played best when it's played long range at the start of the map. Well, anyone who's seen the guide I made for this tank, you'll see the first half of the match I spend literally sniping because I can't be seen with the amazing camera rating, and then I go in guns blazing and you pick them apart with this tank. Now, you can pick them apart from any angle whatsoever. It's just ridiculous. I've played nearly 1,000 battles in my E25, and with this in mind, I'm probably going to play a shed ton more. I can't wait for this. It's going to be really good. But wait, there's more. You've got the higher penetration on the AP now, on the APCR, sorry, without the any AP. So, you're going to make more credits with this thing. That reliable penetration means you're not going to need to use the heat as much. I mean, look, that's the APCR against the front of a 30. And as you can see, With the heat, none of it is, well, none of it's red, but you still struggle to pen that main plate. And that's probably because he's angled up ever so slightly, but aim for the plate above that one if you're shooting at a 30, or the cheeks. And it should, in theory, penetrate with those penetration values. I'm firing up at that 30 there, and obviously I failed to penetrate him. But then again, it's a 30, it's meant to be heavily armoured. You will penetrate a shed ton more often than you used to. But aim for the lower plate, the upper plate, or if you're firing the heat, aim at the upper casement. But this is based on more range. I'm firing at him very, very close range, so when I'm looking at the 30's upper casement, you'll see I'm firing up at it, adding more effective angle to it. So that's going to be my issue here. Who cares though? 250mm pen on an E25. Ah, that's just ridiculous. I'm so excited. But there's more. T34 or T34 Independence, if you have the all singing, all dancing, check me out looking one. A lot of people have a T34 Tier 8 premium tank in their garage that they don't use. I still love this tank and I still play it very, very regularly. It's like driving a stock, slow rate of fire T30. Except this thing makes a bucket ton of credits. Now this thing has had a significant buff. And it's received that buff in various areas. Hit points have gone from 1,400 up to 1,600. And then the traverse speed has gone from 22.95 up to 26.07. And the view... 07? And the view range has gone from 220 up to 240. And then the reload, without consumables and equipment, has gone from 14.39 to 13.42. Now that seems quite minor, but with your equipment fitted, you get the reload down to 11.2 seconds now. That gives your rate of fire up to around 5.35 with this equipment setup I have, which if you want to see what my equipment loadouts are, then I have a guide for this tank, because hopefully more people will be playing this now. Do you like what I did there, by the way? Slipped that little, hey, check out this other guide I have. It was probably quite subtle until I decided to point it out, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm going to shut up now. Next tank. M60. How many of you have this tank and won't play it because of the hate it receives? And how many of you hate this tank? Many reasons, obviously the original controversy, but that doesn't matter anymore, we don't care. It's the pen. Everything else was nerfed in the last update except for this. Good news, M60 has been nerfed, people. The penetration has gone from 268 down to 250 with the APCR, and then with the heat it's gone from 330 down to 300, which now brings it in line with all the other tier 10 medium tanks. So if you are an M60 driver, you won't feel so dirty taking this thing out knowing you have way more pen than anything else on the battlefield, which has the mobility you do. Do you know what, it still performs fine though. Exactly like the M48 pattern, I think that's doing fine with the pen nerf as well. So yeah, I would say not to be concerned, but hopefully there's a little less hate for this thing now as a result. And then we have the Panther 8.8. It's the one premium tank I was super excited to see coming into the game, and then when I managed to test it, I was super disappointed by its, well, lack of any redeeming factors. But they have buffed several aspects of this tank. Hit points, they've given it an extra 30. Traverse speed has gone from 50.06 to 57.36, and then turret traverse has gone from 33.38 to 36.5. Those figures though, the turrets and the track traverse speeds, you can improve obviously with your equipment loadouts. It's still slow to accelerate because, well, it's a big Panther, but it circles a lot better than it used to. It moves considerably better than it did before, it really does. And then the reload has been taken from 6.42 down to 6.23. Now, I've got my reload down to 5.2, I believe. And all in all, it does feel considerably better than it did. I gave a pretty harsh review on this tank when it first came out. It is in the stores again at the moment at the time I'm making this video. So I'm really hoping this is going to make the difference and make it a worthwhile tank. So when 3.7 does go live, I will test this tank properly, and if it has changed, I am quite happy to update the review I did of it and basically make it more useful, because I think I pretty much just spammed abuse at that tank. But it does feel a lot better than it did, I really would say that. And it's amazing, actually, how much just a couple of extra track traverse speed, and that slight reload actually make to the feel of the tank. I think more than anything, it's the maneuverability. Granted, it's a Panther, as I mentioned, it is very slow, but it can traverse fantastically now. I would say, though, it is still very much a tank which needs to be played at long range, using the accuracy of that 8.8. But this is an in-depth topic for another time. I have a couple more tanks to cover in this video. And the next one I want to look at is the T25AT. When was the last time you saw one of these in battle? I barely ever see these. This has had quite a good buff. Now, I liked this tank anyway. I think it was very much underestimated, and it was a proper underdog. But they've upped the frontal armor on this thing. The armor has gone from 88 to 120 millimeters. That's a considerable difference. And using gun depression on this thing, or the good gun arc it has, you can angle the armor very, very well, which obviously adds to the effective thickness, goddamn, I can't get my words out, and make it a lot more bouncy. So you can use this as a brawler now. And I genuinely hope we see more of these on the battlefield now. It is a great tank. It's just never seen or never played often. Granted, it leads to a T28, so you expect it to be heavily armoured, and it's not. But now, the armour is much, much better than it was. And then finally, we have Blaze. Blaze was underwhelming. It was disappointing and underwhelming, but it has received a fair buff. Not just in aspect of reload, but gun handling in general. Aim time has gone from 6.1 seconds to 5.3. And the gun dispersion has gone from 0.412 to 0.393. Again, these are without fitting any extras, like your gun laying drive. And the reload was taken from 14.39 down to 12.47. So this thing is going to feel a lot better to those owners who do have it. I still don't think it's a very powerful tank tier for tier, but this is certainly going to make it a lot better. I mean, 12.47 is without any extra consumables, etc. With adrenaline on, and with consumables, you'll get it down to about 11 seconds. And also, the Glacial 112 has received a buff. It has fantastic armor on that tank. However, the lower plate, anytime you got shot in the lower plate, you were virtually guaranteed to put that thing on fire. Not anymore. The fuel tanks on this thing were right behind the front lower plate. Now they were moved to the back of the tank, which means there is a considerably less chance of you being set on fire from being shot in that lower plate. So in that last event, if you went for the Blaze or you went for the Glacial, they've both received a buff. The Blaze needed a considerable buff. So yeah, it's a win-win all round, really. If there are any Wargaming staff watching this video, please buff my Jagdtiger, the 8.8, please. Oh, that tank needs a buff. Okay, granted, you've made my E25 an absolute monster, and I'm so excited for that. But the Jagdtiger 8.8 pick up a penguin. The performance of the Jagdtiger 8.8 is worse than the Panther 8.8. So I'd love to see that buffed. It does need it in some shape or form. But again, irrelevant from this video, another tangent. The only other point, tiers 1, 2, 3, I was going to say and 4, but I'm concerned about tier 4. Tier 1, 2 and 3 have been buffed. The health and the hit pool basically has been raised for every single one of them, so the matches last longer. That's everything from tier 1 to 3, which pretty much puts it more towards obviously tier 4. So I am very intrigued as to how that is going to impact tier 4. But tiers 1, 2 and 3, the games would be over very, very, very quickly. Now they won't. They're all near and around the 400 mark, at tier 3 anyway. Which, as I mentioned, puts them closer to the tier 4 range. So I am intrigued as to how much impact this would potentially have on tier 4. It may turn out to be completely insignificant and irrelevant, and obviously testing has been done already. But I am genuinely intrigued as to how much impact it could potentially have. But obviously we are never going to know that until obviously we see it live in the game. But that is it for this video. Obviously stay tuned to the channel, there are more coming out in relation to update 3.7. Obviously thank you for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.